It was a cold October morning. I was biking to my school, already being a few minutes late, pedaling as fast as my sore legs could, going down the winding road. I was listening to Spotify when a strange song I'd never heard before came up. It sounded almost like old video game music, somewhat compressed with a nice melody. Despite never having heard the song before, it made me feel oddly nostalgic. Arriving at my school, I parked my bike, locked it on the rack, and pulled out my phone to listen to the full album. The album was named 2003 Toyota Corolla. The album cover was of a 2003 Toyota Corolla. The name of the artist was 2003 Toyota Corolla. Highly intrigued at this point, I listened to the first song of the album. The first song of 2003 Toyota Corolla by 2003 Toyota Corolla is aptly named 2003 Toyota Corolla. Over the course of 7 minutes, the song has 5 sections, 3 low-pitched, 2 high-pitched. Keep in mind, I'm not a musician, I don't know genres, I don't know keys, I am stupid. So, bear with me here as I try my best to turn music into words. 2004 is similar, as we can cut into 8 sections based on the volume fading in and out. The sections alternate between being relatively low-pitched and relatively high-pitched, all the while having a generally ethereal tone. 2004 has more harmonies and is generally much higher pitched, whereas 2003 was more ambient and somewhat neutral in pitch. Also, notably, some sections have a harmony not present elsewhere, which makes them almost sound like a choir of angels. 2005 is the shortest of all the songs, clocking in at 1 minute and 32 seconds, whereas most songs average around 9 minutes. The song is one continuous harmony, peaking in volume after 5 seconds and then slowly getting quieter until the song ends. In the background for the first 50 seconds or so, as some sort of buzzing can be heard, similar to an alarm or a cicada. It can still be heard briefly throughout, but not nearly as well. Being the shortest song, there's really not much to analyze here. At this time into my school day, it was the second period. A friend of mine saw me looking at waveforms of all things, and understandably asked me what the hell I was doing. I explained to him the odd nostalgia the album gave to me, and then played him 2005. To my surprise though, he told me that he didn't get any sort of nostalgic feeling from the song. This confused me. What could cause him to have such a different reaction to the song than I did? Well, if this were tied to nostalgia, it could be that this album reminded me of something from my childhood, which he didn't experience in his childhood. That said, it would be nearly impossible and downright inhumane to force him to look at every piece of media I watched from my childhood, so I tucked that idea away and continued listening. In contrast to 2005, 2006 is the longest of all the songs, clocking in at a whopping 25 minutes and 7 seconds. The song is a constant electric harmony, which feels like it's trying to swell but just can't. A minute in, a relatively high-pitched harmony begins to play, sounding almost angelic before beginning to fade out. It's then replaced by another harmony, which is a little lower in pitch before it too begins to fade out, leaving just the initial electric harmony. This cycle repeats for the next 23 minutes. Despite being the longest song, I still don't exactly have much to say about it. 2007 is the third longest at 12 minutes and 41 seconds, and immediately it made me feel different. The song has an intriguing harmony present throughout, which made me feel more nostalgic than the other songs. Thinking back to that earlier conversation with my friend, I couldn't help but wonder if maybe this song sampled something from a piece of media I watched as a child. I sat at my desk digging through many repressed childhood memories, hoping to find why this song might be more nostalgic than the others. Then, I remembered my old Wii U. The Wii U's menu music always had this oddly ethereal and almost lonely feeling to it, a very similar feeling to the album. Also like the album, a lot of the songs were made of indescribable electric harmonies of differing pitches. As a kid, I always loved to use the Wii U's Mii Maker. It was really the only built-in app I could use because I was too stupid to use the Miiverse or the eShop, so I took a look at the Wii U's Mii Maker, and I found that a large portion of 2007 was sampled from the Editing a Mii theme but slowed down by 600% with heavy reverb. Okay, cool. Why? At this point, I decided to finish the album and try to come to conclusions after. 2008 is the strangest yet because it's an actual song. For some reason, amongst what is mostly ambiance, there is an actual song. It's most akin to a video game shop theme, as it's oddly compressed, uses a lot of video gamey sound effects. There's some keyboard and woodwind, maybe even a bit of an electric guitar. It feels like the type of song you'd put on a study playlist. It's a genuinely good song to listen to while just getting stuff done or relaxing, which makes the entire album incredibly strange by contrast. One of the most intriguing parts of the album to me is the seeming pointlessness of it, to the point where it almost felt like an elaborate shitpost. Why would somebody make an album of almost nothing but ambient noise, throw in 2 actual songs, upload it under the name 2003 Toyota Corolla, name it 2003 Toyota Corolla, name all the songs 2000 and something Toyota Corolla? It seems so pointless that it feels like it's trying to make a point, like some kind of abstract performance art based around, of all things, video game music from the Wii U era. What the fuck does this album mean? What are you saying, 2003 Toyota Corolla? What are you trying to tell me? Anyways, 2009 is a return to tradition, as it's mostly ambient noise. It's also the second longest track at 14 minutes and 8 seconds. It is a constant, somewhat ethereal harmony which slowly fades in and out throughout the song. There's not much to discuss here, which made me feel a little psychotic after listening to 2008. I needed there to be something here, anything to tell me this wasn't just some sort of elaborate joke, and yet here 2009 was, just more ambient noise. It was good, don't get me wrong, all the songs are good as ambiance, hell I even listened to them while writing this script, but I felt like I was going crazy. I'd been looking at the waveforms for every song, I'd been trying to put them all together into some kind of story, and yet I had found nothing. Maybe the last song, the one which I first heard on that bike ride, would tie it all together. It had to. I needed it to. Toyota Corolla 2010. The song that brought me down this rabbit hole. Unlike every other song, 2010 feels like it's telling a story within the song itself. I mentioned at the start that I know nothing of music, so again, bear with me as I try to explain this. 2010 begins with a soft, drum-like melody to set the rhythm for the song, then 4 bars of bells. This is the melody or pattern of the song. I don't really know which applies better. This melody repeats once before being broken. Some kind of string instrument, seemingly a harp, does 4 bars instead of the drums. And then we can hear the bells getting ready to do their part, but the harp interrupts them. This is what initially intrigued me about the song. Why did the creator intentionally make it so that the bells were interrupted? That moment, not even a full note, is what convinced me that there had to be something deeper here. After this, the harp plays another 2 bars, followed by the drums doing their 2 bars, and the bells play another 2 bars. Now the bells introduce a new melody, which is something of a transitional melody. However, instead of the transitional melody taking up 4 bars, as every other melody has, it takes up 8 bars, and it almost sounds like it's trying to cue in the harp, but the harp isn't responding. The bells disappear for a bit, letting the drums do something of a solo. Then the bells return with another new melody. This melody sounds almost hopeful, even having a bit of a harmony with the flute sometimes. After another little drum solo, the song seems to repeat. The song is about the same until the harp is introduced. This time, the harp doesn't interrupt the bells, and the bells only do the transitional melody for 1 bar as if shocked by the sudden return of the harp, before once again doing the hopeful melody with the flute. This one song tells its own story, which is great, but why the hell is it in this album? None of the other songs are like this, so what is this thing's deal? After finally finishing the album, I started trying to decode it. Throughout the process of listening to all the songs, I'd been putting each of them into an audio visualizer since I'd been on a bit of an ARG kick, so I decided to also put them all into a spectrogram, but neither came up with anything. That said, I still felt like there was something here that I just wasn't getting. Why would somebody post an album of nothing but ambient noise except for 2 tracks? I felt, in my heart of hearts, that there was a narrative of some kind here, that it meant something, but I didn't know what. I had to keep looking. Let's start by taking a look at the little information we've managed to find. 2004 to 2006 all seemingly have an ethereal tone. Then 2007 samples the Me Maker theme, 2008 is a video game shop theme, 2009 is another ethereal harmony, and 2010 seems to tell a story of loss. So we have 2 themes present, ethereal music reminiscent of the afterlife, and video games. Given the blatant car imagery, we could throw out the idea that someone was hit by a car. Notably, the Wii U Me Maker theme did not exist until after 2010. Going off of this, we could say that the album tells a story of someone who had someone important to them be hit by a car, specifically a 2003 Toyota Corolla. This traumatic event caused them to begin to dissociate. This would explain the inconsistency of the Wii U not being released during the years the songs were named after. They tried to remake them in the Meme Maker to pretend like they're still alive, but it doesn't work. In the end, they have to accept reality, or not. That part is open-ended, I guess. This answer didn't feel right, though. The ethereal tone of the tracks doesn't inherently correlate with the afterlife. It could just as well be related to church, therefore relating to religious trauma, a theme which is by far more prominent in art today compared to the Wii U of all things. Speaking of the earlier tracks, if the album is meant to represent their grieving process and denial, then does that mean that they did basically nothing from 2003 to 2007? With nothing else to go off of, I decided to do some research into the artist, 2003 Toyota Corolla, and I actually found some interesting stuff. 2003's online name is Hanahata, but she seems to prefer going by Haley, and she has a website with her email address. So I sent her an email asking if there was actually any meaning to 2003, and if so, what that meaning was. Waiting for a reply, I decided to take a look through her discography. Haley has made plenty of other albums under the name 2003 Toyota Corolla, such as 2013 Toyota Corolla, 2023 Toyota Corolla, 1983 Toyota Corolla, and 1993 Toyota Corolla. There's also an album called Spare Parts, which had one song that really stuck out to me, that being I Am My Own God, which is a haunting parody of childhood innocence. I really liked it. Most recently, 2003 has made blindingly alternate futures and the long-anticipated murder-suicide of Fruitiger Arrow, which I'll shorten to Bafat Lamofa, which will shorten to Baffa. If you couldn't tell by the name, it's a bit of a doozy. If I wanted to cover it, Baffa would probably require its own video. 2003's most recent music is, in my opinion, best consumed as art as opposed to traditional music. You aren't supposed to listen to it over and over and over forever. You're supposed to come out of it having experienced the story, and I like that. As previously mentioned, I really like the storytelling of I Am My Own God. Toyota Corolla 1983 straight up seems like an analog horror series with the visuals, and it might be an Air G. I refuse to look into it until I finish this video. I really enjoyed 1993 as well. 2023 felt like a drug trip. That's always fun. I don't have a good way to end this paragraph. After sending the email in late October, I waited and waited for a response. Through the months, Toyota Corolla always stuck with me in the back of my mind. I'd added 2010 to my playlist, and every time it would pop up, I'd always think back to the Strange album. Come mid-December, I suddenly recognized a song in one of Scott the Waz's videos. Listening closer, I immediately recognized it as Toyota Corolla 2010. It was a lot higher quality though, not nearly as compressed as 2010. After a bit of digging, I was able to find that it was actually the Nintendo eShot theme for the Wii U in November of 2012. Notably, listening to the original track, the harp does not interrupt the bells, meaning that was intentionally put there. I was so close to being sucked right back into mystery. Alas, exam season was coming up and I needed to study. When I want to watch Orange, but my bitch ass wife wants to watch Green. That sure is studying. Finally, in late March, I decided to revisit the album with a simple thought. If both 2010 and 2010 turned out to be Wii U system themes, then maybe some of the other songs were from the Wii U. Starting with 2003, I tried speeding up the song to different speeds, with and without pitch control, and found something that sounded like it maybe could be part of a song if you squint your ears, but definitely wasn't a song itself. Next, I decided to look at 2006. My logic was that since slowing down a song makes it longer, the longest song has the highest chance of being slowed down. So I started speeding up the song until it started to sound like something. Not something I recognized, but something nonetheless. What previously sounded like swelling now sounded like a note changing. It felt like there was some kind of song there, but I didn't recognize it, and eventually I hit the limit for how much my audio program would let me speed up a song without ever recognizing it. 2008 always seemed like an outlier to me. Other than 2010, it's the only song on the album with any real cohesion. Despite that, I failed to recognize it anywhere. It wasn't in the Wii U soundtrack, and speeding up didn't do anything. That said, there was another console I hadn't thought to look at, the Nintendo 3DS. I had a hunch to look at it, but after seeing a comment from @Bantuta, saying it sounded like the Nintendo 3DS eShop theme slowed down, I had to check. And lo and behold, it turned out to be the July 2014 eShop theme. That meant that 2007, 2008, and 2010 were all sampled from 8th generation Nintendo consoles. So what about 2009? Sped up by 4 times, it almost sounded like Biome Fest by C418, which plays well in creative mode in Minecraft. It came to mind because it was my favorite track to listen to while building in Minecraft as a child. Speaking of childhood, there's been a constant theme of childhood memories from the 2010s throughout all these songs. Arguably, Minecraft fits this theme as it peaked in 2012. Hell, Minecraft was even available for the Wii U as of late 2015. Is that the answer then? That the album doesn't tell a story, but rather hinges around the theme of a 2010 childhood? It was more satisfying than the original answer, but I just didn't want to believe it. That single interrupted note in 2010 told me that there was a story. I just needed to find it. Continuing to dig through the comments of 2003 Toyota Corolla on YouTube, I found Haley responded to a comment with, "The entire reason this album exists is because I randomly came up with the idea one day and I thought it would be funny, so I made it." That is the single answer I have been trying to avoid this entire time. The answer that there is no answer. No method to the madness, no story to be told. This entire investigation, if you want to call it that, hinges on the sheer absurdity of the answer simply being because it was funny. If the album were simply ambient droning, that would be okay. If the album was just those 2 tracks, that would be okay. But there's just enough weird things to make me start asking questions. When I began looking into this album, I was expecting an ARG or some sort of mystery sheerly based on the absurdity of the situation. But I don't actually think it's that mysterious. We're going to get a little parasocial here by taking a look at the author. According to her Discord bio, Haley is 20 years old. When writing the script in late October, I had written down 19, meaning she was born in either late 2005 or almost any time in 2006. Given that, I don't feel like it's too much of a stretch to say she was likely born in 2006. Coincidentally, 2006 is the longest song, and the first song, which, when I sped it up, I felt like there might be something more there. 2007, then, is the Me Maker theme, literally the creation of your persona or self. 2009 is the Minecraft creative mode theme, again tying into the theme of creativity and creation. My interpretation of 2010 was that someone lost someone they took for granted. Earlier I said that this was another person, but after all this, I think the thing that they took for granted was their childhood. As you grow up, you live in conflict, hence the harp interrupting the bells. However, on the second repeat of 2010, you learn to live with this. To go deeper and maybe get a little too parasocial and incredibly speculative, Haley is transgender, and the one time in your life you don't need to care about your gender is from ages 1 to 4. Then you can control your identity later on in life. If Haley were born in 2006, ages 1 through 4 would be 2006 through 2010. That said, this theory is entirely speculation and parasocial to an uncomfortable degree. Also, it doesn't account for 2003 or 2007. So, once again, out of ideas and still not having gotten answered to my email, I decided to join our Discord server to send her a DM. I'm gonna be honest, it took me like 30 minutes to send a DM. Sending DMs to people I don't know is still scary. I don't know why my social anxiety is this bad. Quick interlude here, the Discord server was actually really nice. I joined and someone immediately recognized my profile picture, which was cool. And there were just a bunch of people with similar interests to me. That said, I don't talk much because my social anxiety extends to the internet for some reason. Also, during this entire process, I was actually listening to 2006 Toyota Corolla. It's really relaxing as ambient noise. I genuinely recommend listening to not just the album, but all of Haley's work as both 2003 Toyota Corolla and Tanahata. Anyways, I was sitting at my desk for like an hour looking at the Discord server, waiting for a response, and then I started getting nervous that she might never see my DM. So I sent the message, "How often do y'all check your friend requests and DM requests /ShenQ?" to try and get Haley to check their DM requests, and they clocked my shit so hard. And then I apologized to them for seeming rude, and they apologized to me for seeming rude. Weirdly enough, it did actually calm my nerves, not only because it did confirm I would be getting a response, and therefore the big reveal to end off the video, but also that I was talking to people almost as socially anxious as me. Speaking of the big reveal, there isn't one. Haley didn't remember how she felt while making the album, which honestly makes sense given it's been half a decade. In the end, I don't think the 2003 Toyota Corolla was ever intended to be a mystery to be solved. I turned it into a mystery to be solved. That said, it doesn't mean there's nothing to glean from this album. Whether or not it tells the story through its songs is up to interpretation, however, I feel like there's something to be said about the choice of samples. I asked Haley which song sampled which, and was informed that every song sampled part of the Wii U system soundtrack. Earlier I said that 2009 was Biomed. It's actually the Nintendo eShop setting music from the Wii U. While the songs may not tell a story, the creation of the songs do. As per this list of samples given to me by Haley, link in the description, every song in the album is sampled from the Wii U system soundtrack. Interestingly, the songs sampled kind of tell their own story. 2003 samples the first time setup theme, 2004 samples the loading theme, 2005 samples the disconnecting from Wii U chat theme, 2006 is parental controls, 2007 is editing a me, 2008 is an eShop theme, 2009 is settings of the eShop, and 2010 is another eShop theme. This almost follows the pattern of setting up a Wii U, the first time setup, loading, disconnecting, fully put in here, but then there's setting up parental controls, making a me, and then looking through the eShop. If we add 10 years to each of these, it could be what Haley was doing with her Wii U during those years. 2013 was the year after the Wii U launched, hence first time setup. 2014 was the release year of Mario Kart 8 and Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, so it could be that Haley as a child was looking at those on the eShop. 2015 could be figuring out how to use the Wii U chat and Miiverse, the latter of which is part of why the Wii U was so beloved by many. 2016 could be figuring out how to disable parental controls since she'd be 11 or 12 now. 2017 was the release year of the Nintendo Switch, so she'd be porting over her Miis from the Wii U. Then, from there, the only use of the Wii U would be buying old games on the Virtual Console using the eShop. It would even make sense because the album was released in 2021, and following this theory, the last song would be 2020. Also, 2008 samples the 2014 eShop theme, and 2004 is the first song on the album to use an eShop theme. That sounds more like a crazy coincidence, but I still think my theory is right, and I don't think there's much more for me to analyze here. 2003 Toyota Corolla is a fond retelling of the story of the album creator's Wii U as the system took its dying breaths in 2021. The Wii U was discontinued in 2017, however the eShop stayed up until 2023, 2 years after the album released, but the writing was on the wall. A more limited version of the eShop for South America was discontinued in 2020, and it was only a matter of time. Regardless of if I am right or wrong about all this, 2003 Toyota Corolla is generally just a good album to put on in the background. If you want some comforting ambient noise or even something a little more active, 2003 Toyota Corolla is just that. 8 out of 10.
Making outros for YouTube videos is hard, just like my